Good morning, Lourdes. Good morning, and welcome back to Coaching Conversations. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maria Sabio.
And I'm Lourdes Laper. Be sure to watch to the end for some practical practices you can start using right away.
Yeah, so today we're diving into that oh so familiar feeling. When you should do something, hit the workout, tackle that project, have that, maybe awkward conversation, but your brain is like, nah, Netflix and snacks.
Yeah, the siren song of the couch. We've all been there. It's like your to do list is taunting you while your comfy pants are whispering their sweet nothings.
Exactly. Exactly. It's that internal battle, right? We feel like we need to be in that perfect mood, perfectly rested, perfectly everything, basically. And, right before we can start anything, we want to feel perfect. And spoiler alert, that perfect moment rarely shows up on the doorstep with a bouquet of roses.
No, it's more likely to arrive with a pile of laundry and a craving for pizza. So today we're tackling this whole idea of waiting for the perfect conditions to be you. We're going to unpack why we do this, and more importantly, how to ditch the excuses and just be awesome, no matter what your internal weather report is saying.
Right, because let's face it, life keeps happening whether we're feeling 100% or like we've wrestled a bear in our sleep, which is honestly how I wake up most mornings. And let's get real about this emotional roller coaster. This puts us on that feeling of being stuck, of knowing what you should be doing, but feeling completely paralyzed. It's brutal for me. I remember when I started this channel, I had all these ideas, but then doubt would start creeping in. What if people don't like it? What if I mess up? And I'd wait for the perfect day to film. The day I felt totally confident and witty, which surprise, it never really fully arrived. Weeks went by, and I was just stuck, and I would beat myself up for not starting, but also feeling too anxious to actually start imperfectly.
Yeah, I mean, that totally resonates. I think probably a lot of our viewers will hear themselves somewhere in that story with this analysis paralysis, right? For me, it was when I was thinking about switching careers. I'd spend hours researching, making lists of the pros and cons, waiting for this like crystal clear sign that it was the right time. And meanwhile, I was unfulfilled in the work I was doing, but the fear of the unknown, right? The fear of making the wrong decision kept me frozen. And it's like we become our own worst jailers, trapped by this idea that we need all of the ducks to be in a row before we can take that first step.
Yeah, it's so tough because it breeds this cycle of guilt and frustration. We feel bad, we feel guilt, and you know, for most of us, and for me, I know I felt some shame for not acting, which then makes us feel even less motivated to act. It's like emotional quicksand. And here's where some modern psychology really starts to shed light on this, right, Lourdes?
Oh, absolutely. One concept that really explains this is cognitive dissonance. That's the mental discomfort that we feel when our beliefs and our actions don't align. So deep down, you might believe you should be working on that project, right? So that's a belief, but you're procrastinating. So that's a lack of action. And this creates an internal conflict, right? which our brains try to resolve. And sometimes the easiest way to resolve it is in this short-term doubling down on the excuse. Oh, I'm not feeling it, or it's not the right time. And it temporarily reduces the discomfort, but it keeps us stuck in the long run.
Yeah, so our brain is trying to protect us from feeling bad, but it's actually keeping us from moving forward. It's like a well-meaning but unhelpful friend. And another thing at play can be the fear of the judgment, like what I just said about before I started the show, how I felt that fear of judgment. And some people call that the spotlight effect. And we overestimate how much other people are even noticing and scrutinizing us. So if we're not feeling perfect, we might avoid taking action because we're afraid of failing or looking foolish in front of other people. And our brain, it just starts to whisper, better to do nothing than than risk being judged.
Yeah, I mean that was a big one for me. That fear of putting yourself out there when you don't feel totally polished. It's like we think everyone else has it all figured out, and we're the only ones, stumbling.
Right, which, spoiler alert number two, nobody has it all figured out, right? No one. We're all just faking it till we make it. Some of us just have better acting skills, really.
Okay, Maria, let's peek under the hood and see what's actually happening in our amazing but sometimes overly dramatic brains when we get stuck in this waiting for perfect loop, right? And here's the crazy part. Our body's natural stress response plays a big role. When we face a task we perceive as challenging or potentially leading to failure, and even if it's just something like starting a new hobby, our fight or flight response can get triggered. And it might be subtle, but it still gets triggered.
Yeah, so even thinking about that daunting to-do list can make our body go into the low-grade panic mode. And this can lead to a release of the cortisol, that stress hormone. While little cortisol is always helpful, mostly helpful, chronic low levels of stress can actually zap our motivation and make us want to retreat to safety. So hello again, comfy couch. It's our it's our body's way of saying uh, danger. Better stay better stay put where it's safe and what's familiar. And that feeling of being overwhelmed and just wanting to avoid everything, it's like our brain is trying to really, it's trying to protect us really from our own to-do list.
Yeah, exactly. But, here's the super cool part. Our brains are incredibly adaptable, thanks to neuroplasticity. And it means that even though our brains create these habitual patterns of avoidance, we have the power to literally rewire them. Every time we do take action, even when we don't feel like it, we're creating new neural pathways that make it easier to act the next time. It's like forging a new path through a dense forest, right? The first few steps are tough, but the more you walk it, the clearer the path becomes.
Right. So even those tiny little actions when we're feeling unmotivated are actually making a difference in the long run. It that has to be encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely encouraged by that. And so think of those habitual patterns like well worn grooves in a record, right? Your brain loves to follow the familiar path of avoidance, But neuroplasticity tells us we can carve new grooves by consistently choosing action and even taking small steps. And it's challenging because our brains are wired for efficiency and familiarity. So breaking the old patterns requires conscious effort and, repetition. But it's 100% possible. This isn't a limitation. It's a testament to our brain's incredible ability to learn and change. And we just need to be the ones holding the chisel.
I love that analogy. We're the artist of our own brains, right? So, Lourdes, enough of the why. Let's get to the how. What can we actually do to break free from the cycle of waiting for the perfect moment and just start showing up even when we don't feel like it?
Yeah, well, this is where the gentle challenge comes in. We need to shift our focus from feeling ready to being ready through action. So, one key is to ditch the all or nothing thinking. You don't need to write the entire novel in one day. Start with one sentence. And you don't need to do a killer 2-hour workout. Start with 10 minutes. Small steps create positive momentum.
I really love that because it takes the pressure off, right? Because it really is once you just get started, you keep going. It's like saying, "Hey, brain, we're not asking for a marathon, just a little, walk around the block." And the next thing is, focus on the process, not the outcome. Instead of obsessing about giving a perfect presentation, focus on putting in the focused time to prepare. And instead of worrying about the number on the scale, focus on making healthy choices, healthy food choices for the one meal that you're having right now. And when you can focus on the actions, you can control. The pressure to be perfect starts to just fade.
And that in and of itself is so freeing. It's like saying, my job is to show up and do the work, and the rest will follow. And here's the third step: reframe discomfort as a signal of growth. That resistance that you feel when you're about to do something challenging, that's often just your brain stepping outside of its comfort zone. So instead of seeing it as a reason to stop, try seeing it as a sign that you're actually pushing yourself to grow, right? It's that burn you feel during a workout. It's not comfortable, but it's making you stronger.
Right. So, the discomfort you're feeling, that equals growth. It's about changing our relationship with those uncomfortable feelings. They're notifying us that we're growing. And finally, celebrate small wins every time you take action, no matter how tiny, acknowledge it. Give yourself a mental high five. And this will reinforce those new neural pathways that we were talking about. And that will also build momentum. It tells your brain, hey, this action actually felt pretty good.
Yes. Celebrate those baby steps. Did you send that one email you were dreading? Boom. Did you do 5 minutes of yoga when you really just wanted to stay in bed? You're creating change, and that's what it's all about. So, who is this message for? This is for anyone who has ever felt stuck, paralyzed by the thought of not being ready or perfect. It's for the procrastinators, the perfectionists, the dreamers who haven't started, the people who are waiting for the stars to align before they take a leap. This is for you if you're tired of feeling like you're watching your life happen from the sidelines because you're waiting for the right perfect moment. It's especially important right now because life is messy and unpredictable, and waiting to be perfect, waiting for conditions to be perfect means you might be waiting forever and missing out on so much along the way.
Right. We want you to know that you're capable, you're enough right now in this very moment to take that first step, even if it's a wobbly one.
Absolutely. So let's make this actionable, right? Here's your simple 4-point daily practice to start cultivating that just do it muscle. Okay, so start with one tiny task. Identify one small thing you've been putting off and commit to doing just 1 minute of it today. Seriously, 1 minute. And then a process check in throughout the day. When you feel resistance to doing something, shift your focus to the process of doing it rather than the perfect outcome.
Yeah, and embrace them. Next time you feel unmotivated, acknowledge that meh feeling, but then challenge yourself to take one small step forward anyway. And celebrate the small stuff. Always celebrate the small stuff. At the end of the day, acknowledge at least one instance where you took action despite not feeling 100% on. Uh, give me yourself, you know, give yourself some credit. We really encourage you to try this practice, even if it feels silly at first. And let us know in the comments how it goes. We're here cheering you on every step of the way. And remember, progress, not perfection, is the name of the game. And you've got this.
Yeah. So we want to leave you with a little extra fuel for your fire. Remember this from Jon Kabat-Zinn. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, and that's on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. That's your secret weapon. You have the power to act, to show up, regardless of the circumstances.
And again, we'd love to hear from you. What's, the number one way your brain tries to talk you out of taking action? Let us know. You're not alone.
So thanks so much for being here. We're walking this path right alongside you. Take care of your heart, take care of your mind, and take care of yourself. If you found this helpful, support our work by liking, following, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.